Would you look at that? It's the Corolla GR, a hot hatch. 3 exhaust pipes, 3 cylinders, 300 horsepower. 4-wheel drive. Sorry, all-wheel drive. Manual transmission with IMT, as you see right there. So what does that stand for? It basically stands for rev matching. But does it matter? No, not really. You have a split of 60-40, 50-50, and 30-70 for the front to rear. But what's important is this any good? And that's what I'm here to tell you about. So we do have, let me just go here. So we do have rev matching on the transmission, which works when you're driving like casually, but when you're like really hammering it or nailing it, you don't want to use IMT, so just turn that off. Also, no sunroof in here, and the seats are pretty supportive. They've been pretty good, but this is not a Mazda 3 hatchback. Mazda 3 turbo all-wheel drive, to me, is a much better car for the same money, but when I drive this, I'm reminded of the Volkswagen Golf R. So we're at a disadvantage here because there's really nowhere I can go. The road's closed, so we're gonna back up. Go the other way. They're building a lot of stuff around here. Everything's kind of new, and that's kind of the whole thing here. This Corolla hatchback is new, and it's their first hot hatch. So is it good? My answer is maybe. I forget that, they could have taken the 4-cylinder 2-liter out of the normal Corolla hatch that they used to put a manual in, that they ditched the manual from because they launched this car, right? But what we're looking at now is a car that it actually sounds pretty good, right? But does it feel good? No, it's very bouncy. There's real terrible rebound on the suspension, so it's hoppy, and it doesn't need to be that way. It's trying to give this sporty appearance and the sporty feel, but it just doesn't do it. Also, when you look at what this car can do, there's very little torque steer. That's pretty good for having no hands on the wheel. Passing power. Again, I have to remind myself that this is a 3-cylinder, so it likes to, it needs to be at the higher end of the rev range. So while it may be fuel efficient, like at a constant speed, it's basically not fuel efficient when you're trying to hammer it because you're always at the high end of the rev range. So it's kind of an oxymoron of a car, because I sit here and I go, why wouldn't I just have a Golf R? Well, Golf R, Golf R, Golf R. That's all that comes across my mind. And yeah, there's the GTI, but that's kind of the disappointment I have here, because you know how there's a 4-cylinder BMW, and then there's a 6-cylinder BMW, and then there's the M version, which is completely different. What I'm getting at is this is not the hottest they can do, and we know that. And plus, I just missed third. Third has been missing half the time. I can't get to it. I don't know what the deal is here, but third has been a pain in my ass because the car is so hoppy. By the time you get that gear, it's I don't know what's going on here with third gear, but I've noticed that in other reviews. Those other reviewers have complained about it. I don't know what the deal is. They need to look at that. So a short throw, a heavier shift, I don't know what it's going to take, but clearly it's not the same as the manual on the Supra. Now, Everything else in this car has been great. We have Android Auto for those of you who live a free life and don't have an iPhone. And then we have air conditioning, which I can put in eco mode, which makes sense because this is a 3-cylinder. And I've been at the gas station like 3 times in this thing in the course of a week. So it's definitely not fuel efficient. And the one thing I have to say is the reason why I think Golf R is because this is $42,000. And if we look at, we got wireless charging, we have heated seats that don't self-cancel, right? We have a drive mode, so you do sport, and then we can turn traction off, and then it's an expert mode. It'll never break the tires. The tires will never break, which means there's not enough torque in here. And what's really disappointing about this car is that it doesn't really have a bite. You know, there's a Mini Cooper, the Mini Cooper Clubman. That thing has a bite to it, and it feels like it's going to kill you. This car doesn't do that. There's no torque steer. There's no massive amounts of torque. It doesn't tear the tires away. Something about this just screams bland. And it may look not bland, but I think that it's bland nonetheless. And how do you enjoy a car like this? Well, you got to graduate up from like a Miata, which is the learner's permit of sports cars, and then you end up here in the Corolla GR. There's nothing necessarily wrong with it. It's just that it's not performing the duty of being a hot hatch. It's just kind of a GTI in a sense, but it's not an R. It's you know, it definitely has a weight problem, which can be solved if you remove some of that weight back there. I don't care that it doesn't have a spare tire. I don't care that there's no sunroof, but I do care that it's missing features, right? It doesn't have folding mirrors, auto fold power mirrors. It doesn't have, well, it does have auto up and down on the windows, but not from the remote. It doesn't have remote start, obviously, because a manual doesn't really need that. But there's stuff in here like this stereo, right? It may sound good in the normal one, but in this louder version, I don't really hear it. And so the stereo is kind of a moot point. So really what you have is a track car that if you see my G meter, which is why I have it up, see that diamond shape? I can brake harder and push G-forces forward. The brakes in here are excellent, by the way. But the problem is, that's about it. That's it. That acceleration there, that peak downwards, that's all you get. So there's nothing in this car that really screams hot hatch to me, other than the way it looks. And yeah, you could roll the windows down, which I'll do here. All right, and I'll put it in sport mode. It's kind of breezy today, but we'll work it out. All right, so you'll hear turbo whistle, and you'll hear the 3-tipped exhaust, however they want to describe it. Ready? That purge is nice. It's fun. It's a fun sound, and it's very addicting, but it still doesn't really push hard, and that's where I think this car fails for me. So I would just get a Golf R and be done with it. Although this sound is intoxicating, kind of annoying at the same time. We have heated steering wheel. It's kind of set up for all weather, which is nice to have. Gotta shift with one hand here. The clutch is nice, actually, for the manual on this one. The clutch feels a little lighter than the Mazda 3. Steering feels direct and communicative, but there's just no power. I think it needs to be a Turbo 4. Maybe you just get the regular Corolla manual from 2019 and you move on with life. But that's it. That's all I got. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. It's going to be a while because I'm going to take summer off, but we'll see where we go. All right. Ciao.